Video games can be pretty expensive, and there are definitely some games out there that I would consider overpriced. However, today I want to focus on the most undervalued games that I own. Basically, games that are being sold brand new for very affordable and respectful prices. Now, for this video, I'm only going to be using Steam as my basis for how much a digital game costs, because I'm sure that's what 90% of us use to purchase our digital games. And yes, you technically are only buying a license for the games according to Steam's TOS, but let's be honest, Steam is still the best platform to play and purchase digital games. Now, I also own a lot of physical games, and that's an understatement. I own close to 700 physical video games, not to brag or anything, but again, today I'm only really going to be focusing on my Steam library, since this is where you will almost always get the best deal. So let us go over the most underpriced games that I own on Steam. Thanks to this commenter for originally giving me this idea a few months ago. Shout out to my channel members, thank you for your support. Let's jump in. Let's start today's video off with a game that I've been talking about a lot on this channel as of late, Blasphemous. Blasphemous is a Metroidvania game that is normally $25. However, it made the list because at this point in time, the game is on sale for only $2.50 USD until July 10th. Now, I mostly want to feature games that are generally always greatly priced instead of games that are only on sale for a limited time, but this offer is just too good to not mention, especially for viewers of my channel who are probably already big fans of these types of video games. I just thought I needed to mention Blasphemous real quick since this sale is pretty absurd. Pick up this game now, I'm begging you. The next game I'm going to bring up is of course Undertale. You could definitely see this one coming, because this game has always been known for how incredibly affordable it is. And actually, similar to Blasphemous, this game is also on sale for $2.50 until July 10th, but that's not the main reason it's here. Its standard price at $10 is great for what is, in my opinion, one of the greatest Japanese RPGs out there. Sure, it's not nearly as complicated as some of those other JRPGs, but it really does not matter because the characters are amazing, the puzzles are great, the music is masterful. This game is worth 5 times the price point, and that is the exact type of thing I'm looking for with this video. Yes, it's not a very long game, but quality over quantity, am I right? I'm sure you already own this game, but if not, it is a great time to try it out. Another game that is the epitome of a bang for your buck is Terraria. In my opinion, Terraria is the absolute best game you can ever buy for the amount of money it costs, which is once again $10. I know I said quality over quantity, but this game can be played for literally 10,000 hours, and you will still find new creative ways to enjoy it. Terraria is a 2D sandbox game with tons of enemies, bosses. I mean, each playthrough of the game can take up to 50 hours, and since there are tons of different unique weapons and classes and armor sets, most people are going to be giving it a go more than a few times. Terraria also has a ridiculously huge modding scene that is also supported with its own Steam Workshop page and Steam application called Tmod Loader, making it easier than it's ever been before to modify the game and access even more brand new content for however long you want. Terraria in its current state is genuinely just endless entertainment, all for the price of $10. Also, the game is on sale until July 10th. I'm not doing this on purpose, I swear. Coincidentally, every game I mention in this video also just happens to be on sale at the moment. Since we just mentioned Terraria, we should probably mention Stardew Valley as well. I'm not going to cover too much about this game since it's basically the same case as Terraria. A ton of things to do, a phenomenal modding scene, and an affordable price that regularly gets discounted to be even cheaper. Now, I actually debated even including Stardew Valley on this list for several reasons. First of all, it's not as cheap as Terraria, despite being very similar in terms of the amount of content. Also, it does not have its own modding application built into Steam like Terraria does. Still, it may not be as good of a bang for your buck as Terraria is, but it did deserve to still be mentioned here. Next up is actually a game that came out less than a month ago, and it's called Peak. On the surface, Peak is another friend swap game, basically a multiplayer game that puts you and your friends in awkward positions in order to get a laugh out of you. It's sorta like a game like Lethal Company, for example, but instead of going around abandoned facilities infested with monsters, Peak is a casual multiplayer survival game about climbing the top of a mountain. I've played this game for a few hours now, and it's actually pretty damn challenging. There are 9 levels in this game, and me and my friends have only made it to level 3. I think the price of $7.99 makes this game a no-brainer. Even as someone who doesn't usually like survival games, this one is simple enough to understand, yet is still very challenging nonetheless. Peak is a game that I absolutely recommend. It's selling extremely well on Steam at the moment, so come join the party. Next up, I'm gonna go with Geometry Dash. Geometry Dash is a game I'm sure we've all played at least once, whether it was on your mom's iPad when you were 7 or if you still play it today. This is a platformer rhythm game that has millions of levels to play for the price of $5 on Steam. I personally have hundreds of hours in this game. It's not something that I regularly go back to anymore, but if you're gaming on a budget, this game can once again provide you with a fantastic amount of just endless entertainment. There's also a ton of new variety and gameplay thanks to some of the more recent updates that Geometry Dash has received. So if you're into platforming games, I recommend giving it a shot. It's a lot more than just a game for iPad kids. Next, I want to talk about a 1995 Japanese RPG, Chrono Trigger. You may remember this game being a Super Nintendo game, and that's because it is. But it has since been ported to Steam by Square Enix, and for the affordable price of $15. Now, the reason I think $15 is a phenomenal price for Chrono Trigger is because it's one of the best games I've ever played in my life. Now, I know that nowadays a lot of gamers do not like turn-based games, and also Chrono Trigger's mechanics of having a live yet still turn-based battle style can be a little bit confusing and unwelcoming, but once you grasp the concept, the game itself reels you in instantly. I played through this game once I got my Steam Deck and was simply addicted to it, and one thing I applaud it for is that it's an RPG that doesn't take a million hours to complete, only taking me about 25 hours. It's a phenomenal game with some of the best music in gaming history, and I think it is a great inclusion on this list. Up next, I'm going to talk about Hollow Knight. I have made very many videos on Hollow Knight already, so I will try to keep the introduction brief. Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania game with a wonderful hand-drawn art style. This game has tons of areas to explore, tons of upgrades, bosses, you name it. And once again, only $15 and currently on sale. Hollow Knight is basically the Chrono Trigger of Metroidvanias, because it wasn't the first Metroidvania, but it is the best one, and it's also not very expensive. There's no reason not to pick this game up right now. I'm sure if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you've already played this game, but if not, trust me, I cannot recommend it enough. It's a great time to try it out, especially since the next game is releasing later this year, hopefully. For the last game of the video, we're actually going to go with 2 games, and that's the Half-Life games. Half-Life and Half-Life 2. These are 2 20-plus-year-old first-person shooter games that have achieved nothing less than universal acclaim. Now listen, I actually haven't played these games just yet, but I figured I would still include them for a couple of reasons. First of all, like I said, universal acclaim from everybody who's played them, not just from internet reviews, but people I've spoken to about the games, have so much good to say about them. Also, not only are the games both only $10, but they regularly and are currently on sale for $1.99. And since they're from the late 90s and early 2000s, the games will run on pretty much any PC due to how little the games cost, how little it takes to run them smoothly, and just the fact that everyone says they're incredible. I decided to choose the Half-Life games to cap off the list. Well, there you have it. That was my list for some games in my library that I consider to be underpriced for what they are. I recommend trying out all of these games since they're not only amazing, but they're also extremely affordable, meaning you do not have much to lose. Of course, make sure to not go too overboard with buying games, or else you'll end up like me and have literally thousands of games to finish. But also, don't be afraid to add a couple of these to your back catalog. Hope you guys enjoyed today's upload, and make sure to recommend me some games to return the favor. I'd love to hear your suggestions, and if enough people enjoyed this video, maybe I'll make a follow-up. Also, happy 4th of July to my fellow Americans out there. That's it for me, everybody, and I'll talk to you later.